Yuta Okkotsu. What a shame. You ended up following the same path as the two before you, who claimed to be the strongest. What's up, guys? Welcome to and here we are to do a nice little breakdown / discussion on whether or not necessarily, I'm not even going to say whether or not, why Yuta Okkotsu has to be cooked. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for the sanctity of the narrative, gosh darn it. That man has to be on. He needs to be. Gosh darn it. Unless something super crazy, stupid, ends up happening, this man must be cooked for the integrity of the story of Jujutsu Kaisen. But of course, we have a decent little chunk to talk about, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Yuta Okkotsu. Yeah. I mean, yeah. He's in half. Now, like, here's the thing about Jake. Here's the thing about Jake. I need y'all to hear me out. Yuta Okkotsu is undeniably a fan favorite character. Don't get me wrong. I 100% agree with the overall impact of Yuta Okkotsu. He's the original main character. Like, no matter how much I love Yuji Itadori as a character, no matter how much I think he fits better as a main character for the world of Jujutsu Kaisen rather than Yuta Okkotsu would have. I'm talking about the main story versus Zero. Yuta is the perfect main character for Zero in the same way that, in my opinion, Itadori is the perfect main character for the main series. As all that is true, I still must admit I do need him gone. Gone right now. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to immediately assume this is the reason why. Oh, Pencil Man, you just want Yuta Okkotsu gone for your filthy little agenda. Oh, I hear it, Pencil. Agenda Kaisen is pumping through your veins at Mach 12. I can tell. That's why you want the blessed, the next level, the new strongest sorcerer of the modern day to fall. Because you just don't want Yuta on top. No. I like Yuta. I'm happy that he's pretty much number 3 in the verse. Pretty hard to debate otherwise now. The main reason I need him gone is, ironically enough, because of this fella. Oop, that's a blank page. This fella, Gojo Satoru. He's the main reason why I need Yuta Okkotsu gone. He's the main reason. And I know this is crazy to say, right? Like, Pencil Man, you do realize that Gojo Satoru and Yuta Okkotsu aren't the same character, right? Like, they're loosely related, but why do you need Yuta gone because Gojo's gone? And you may once again, I know all the Yuta fans will be like, I knew it, Pencil. You're exposing your true side. You're a Yuta hater. So you are so mad that the original Okkotsu is gone, that now you want the second Okkotsu to fall. No. The main reason that I need Yuta Okkotsu to be gone is because it wouldn't really make sense if he survived what this man couldn't. Gojo Satoru fell to Spatial Slash. He did. This is just a verbatim thing. Like, he, in half, plap, on the ground. He fell to that. Simple as that. And need I remind you the level of power that a Yuta Okkotsu's at relative to Satoru Gojo? Overall, like, notably the only thing that you could hypothetically argue, well, actually, no, realistically, as broken, unless you're gonna survive somehow and reveals he does have the Limitless in his domain too. Realistically, you can still argue overall, in spite of how broken Copy is and the access to Cleave, that unless he pulled out a Spatial Slash himself, Yuta Okkotsu is still overall, pound for pound, a worse, weaker character than Gojo Satoru. And remember, this was not just any Gojo Satoru who fell to Ryomensuke's Spatial Slash. It was a Gojo Satoru tweaking off of 4 Black Flashes. I think 5? Is it 4 or 5? I forget. But bro was off the sauce. His RCT output was fully restored. He was at the top of his game. He had the 6 size, meaning his curse energy expenditure was like 2%. Realize, if Ryomensuke went through all Ryomensuke went through, and ultimately was down to what? A solid half or maybe a little under half of his curse energy after going through all that he went through? You mean to tell me that Gojo Satoru was any worse for wear? You mean to tell me that he was worse off than anybody else, and by anybody else, I specifically mean Sukuna in terms of output and RCT, after he got it restored by 4 Black Flashes? No, right? That wouldn't make sense. Of course not. So, unfortunately, the same conditions have been met. Like, verbatim, word for word, pound for pound. Like, look, y'all. Look at it! I need you to look at it! It went straight through him. Like, notably, one of the biggest complaints about Gojo's end, in retrospect, from a lot of Gojo fans. And even then, I, once again, unfortunately, I'm not able to hold grudges for a very long time. Your boy softens on everything with time. And I've completely softened on this fact, but if there's one thing that you would ask the Gojo fan base in particular about what they don't like about the end of Gojo is that we couldn't see it. Like, what do you mean you just got sliced in half and you didn't show us how it happened? We see it happen with Yuta Okkotsu. And it's a clean cut through. Why? Because it's spatial slash. Remember, the whole point of Sukuna amping his dismantle here wasn't just to restore it back to its base output, which admittedly it was far, 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 far from after all he'd been going through thanks to the onslaught of Yuji Itadori and Yuta Okkotsu, but it was specifically to get spatial slash. The narrator themselves is like, oh, you see, well, in actuality, ending Hollow Wicker Basket and bearing the effects of Angel's Curse technique while relying on dismantle, the slash that cuts the world. So he very specifically went for spatial slash. He very specifically bisects Yuta Okkotsu. Cleanly, too. Notably, it'd be one thing if the cut was jagged, it'd be one thing if the cut wasn't clean through, but he's very specifically in half. Notably, it does seem to be on more of a tilted angle than what Gojo got. If you look back at Gojo's cut, it is, I'm not going to say the cleanest cut out there. It is also slanted, but it's a little bit more clean. Like, while Yuta's is more like this way, Gojo's cut is more like this way. It's still slanted, no doubt. And ironically enough, it's less slanted than the slash that's shown here in the chapter to represent what actually happened. But the main reason I bring this up is because since this worked on Gojo, the stronger sorcerer, than Yuta Okkotsu, and it took him out of here while he was tweaking all 4 Black Flashes and his RCT output restored to max, it legit would not make sense for Yuta Okkotsu, the definitively weaker character, to survive the same thing. It wouldn't. It would retroactively do damage to not just Gojo as a character, not just to the integrity of the narrative, but also to spatial slash itself. Notably, while we always talk about respect and importance and weight and all that in regards to, like, actual living, breathing, walking, talking characters, you know, that are, like, sentient and stuff like that, attacks have certain reputations, too. Look at the Kamehameha, look at the Rasengan, look at any look at Getsuga Tensho, look at any popular attack out there. It has weight. It has roles to play. It has precedence within the narrative. And sure, you can definitely change the precedence of different things, but overall, I think Spatial Slash has a very specific purpose. It is the one thing in Ryomen Sukuna's kit that is guaranteed 100 million billion % to be a one-shot. That's the point of the move. Remember, it was very specifically introduced to deal with the character who's much stronger than the rest of our cast. That's what its purpose was. It was so purposeful that it's even meant to breach things and defenses in ways that other techniques can't. This dismantle, this is what finished Satoru Gojo, a slash that cuts the world. This ability, this pinnacle, is even able to bypass users of domain implication. This is very specifically meant to be an end-all be-all. Because what does it do? Sukuna, could you remind us what this bad boy does? Let me see.
The second adaptation proceeded as I hoped. That wasn't meant to be a slash like the ones I launched. That was the extension of the curse technique's targets. Its target was not Satoru Gojo. It extended all the way to space, existence, the world themselves, so as to cut them. Without regard for your invulnerability, as long as you exist inside that space, those existences would split apart, so to say. It was an incredibly difficult technique to obtain, but I did have quite the wonderful model.
That's the thing. Spatial Slash does not necessarily care about your durability, how bulky you are, how good anything is, because it's very specifically meant to hard delete space and a section of space. So realize Yuta Okkotsu, legally speaking, just like Gojo Satoru, isn't actually cut in half here. Like, he's not really, because a cut in its most basic and civil form is taking one object. It doesn't have to be sharp. You can cut with anything as long as you swing it hard enough. But like, taking one simple object and forcing through it, dividing it. But what Spatial Slash does, it deletes the flesh that exists in that space by cutting through it. It annihilates it in its entirety. Wherever or whatever was here, whether it be a rib in the case of Yuta Okkotsu, whether it be some stomach organs, anything like that, it is specifically deleted. Yuta Okkotsu would have to regenerate that while his body is literally in half. And notably, look where Sukuna aims. If you remember, Kenjaku makes it very clear, hey, Bucko, I'll be real with you, dog. I'll stick these things right there, Bucko. You ain't even RCT in them. Remember, that was Kenjaku sticking like, what, 3, 4, or 5 things through Hazunoki's neck. Don't get me wrong, Yuta Okkotsu, an extremely powerful and proficient wielder of RCT. All 251 is kind of a Yuta Flex show, realistically. The way he goes in and starts genuinely cooking with his RCT. Taking Cleese head on, healing right through him, smacking and snacking on dismantles. He's about it. He's moving demonically. Business being stood upon, undeniably, indubitably. But it's, once again, it's that level higher. It's that peak of beyond. Remember, they full out admit, in narrative, in 250, hey, be real with you, Bucko. If he was not so weak right now, he'd one-tap us. He'd overwhelm us. He'd dominate us. He'd spread our cheeks halfway across the 9 realms. And then the other half, so we're just across the 9 realms. That is established in 251. Not 251, 250. That is established there, clean cut. And what happens in 251? A clean cut through Yuta Okkotsu. His guts are deleted. He needs to go. Because if he doesn't, it breaks everything that comes before. One, it makes Spatial Slash kind of, I'm not going to say irrelevant, because clearly it would probably take something, right? Like, the ways I've been hearing multiple different things about how Yuta Okkotsu could survive this. And let's talk about some of those. Number one, he just heals it. Like, he just verbatim heals it. Like, maybe Gojo Satoru just didn't know what was happening, and then by the time he considered what was happening, he got hit. Meanwhile, it seems like Yuta Okkotsu does end up hearing the chant, and he's just not able to react to it in time. You see him, like, raise up a guard when he very specifically was kind of sort of in range. So it looks like he may have reacted. So a lot of people are saying, well, he could just heal it. I disagree with that, because, he's in half, meaning that Sukuna very specifically targeted, the stomach, which produces all the cursed energy, on Yuta, and, like, thusly, he's disconnected from the head. Just like Kenjaku said, bro, if you don't have proper cursed energy flow from your stomach to your head, don't matter how good at RCT you are, you won't be able to RCT. So there's that, for one. But also, there's the whole issue of, like, Yuta maybe being able to be saved by Rika. Now, this one, I'm a little bit more laissez-faire on. Like, maybe I'm a little hands-on. I can feel it for a second. Like, I can lean with it, rock with it. Because it has long since been established, right? That this Rika, despite not being Rika Orimoto initially, she's the husk of Rika Orimoto way back in Sendai. Now, no, literally, like, 70 chapters ago. Like, over 70 chapters ago at this point. It's like 1 or 2 over 70. It's like 179 or 170. I think it's 178 when it's specifically established. Because then I think she has the awakening. No. It's in 179, I'm pretty sure, where it's hard established. The awakening of Rika Orimoto. There are still chunks of soul left. There are pieces, dredges of the soul that exists within the Rika Orimoto, the husk left behind for Yuta Okkotsu to store all his curse techniques. But the thing about that husk is that since it's a husk with soul left, hypothetically, it could make a binding vow. It could do it. Maybe. Kind of. Sort of. Most likely it could perform a binding vow. Binding vow? What in the world is a binding vow? It could perform a binding vow in order to trade its life for Yuta's, essentially. Kind of flipping the original bargain. Where, well, actually not necessarily, because Riko Orimoto's life was preserved for the desires of Yuta Okkotsu, but this time it would be Yuta Okkotsu's life being preserved for the desires of Riko Orimoto in a binding vow exchange. That I would once again kind of be okay with. But at the same time, I still think it would undermine Space Slash. It would still do damage. It would still end up making Gojo Satoru look worse. It would end up making Higuruma Hiromi look worse overall. Though admittedly, Higuruma Hiromi doesn't necessarily have anywhere near the standards of a Gojo Satoru, so him looking worse necessarily isn't the worst thing. And obviously, it would undermine Kachimo Hajime as well. But of course, a lot of people don't have much respect for Kachimo Hajime anymore anyway. But once again, the main concern is Gojo. You let Yuta survive this, and then why not Gojo? Even if, notably, like I said, I think the Rika explanation is fine. There was another explanation that someone gave about like him using a refraction or redo on Hikari's technique and something like that. All that, it's fine. But I think it would undermine Space Slash as a technique. I think it would undermine Gojo's sacrifice and his ultimate conclusion through the loss of Space Slash. And I think it would overall do, I don't want to say irrevocable, but darn near irrevocable damage to the narrative. All three of those things in combination are why I need Yuta Okkotsu to be gone. But what do you guys think? Do you think Yuta Okkotsu needs to fall from this? For the fact that bro had to hold that, he's now going to have to hold that for eternity? Or do you think that Yuta Okkotsu, in spite of whatever narrative damage it may have, deserves to write, it's not deserves to write, but deserves the right to keep fighting, to get on and move forward, surviving the slash that even destroyed Gojo Satoru himself? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to hit that little notification bell so you can not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, along with ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off.
It's a test. Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing.
The password is Fall, Blessed One. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, O'Connor Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, and Red Wolf 4765. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Steron, Sean, RNG Master, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Jermaine, Igneal, EHAC1, and Demix LND. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 members, Autumn, Mornings Lazo, Sick Addiction, and Jan Toma. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $10 member, Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our two $10 patrons, Joaquin and Item Okami. And I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Winter. Another hefty thank you to our $25 patron, ChinaDoll09. And a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.